dollars. And the U.S. has never apologized for anything. But I'm curious about, you know, you have a reservation there?
It's trust land, yeah. It has the same regulation, federal regulation. It's trust land that's been in my family and it continues to be a family in trust. It's just literally the lineal descendants, my mother, my uncle, myself. We have many people from the community come to the canyon, but residing on the land is just lineal descendants and some caretakers. Because we are off the grid and it is a hard valley where there's a lot of granite rock, and plus our nonprofit is just grassroots. We're able to just fundraise to benefit the land. So we are a small group, and that's why with the whole, I'm not a fan of federal recognition when it comes to proving who we are. We're working our tails off to prove who we are. Why doesn't the government work their tails off to prove who we're not? But I'm 50-50. Like, acknowledgement of original peoples is awesome if you can do good for your community, so getting that government recognition. But then on the other side, I'd rather acknowledge cultural recognition as we are today and as we do in the classrooms, as we do in the public engagements, because the federal recognition process is hideous to our communities. For some reason, it makes communities fight among themselves, or at least become reserved, and it hurts me because, like, it's a government constraint. The government is just like, oh yeah, you work your tail off, you have your little circle, and oh, make sure you don't benefit your neighbors because that won't be good for you. It's like, we need to help each other. I don't like the government this patriarchal, non-indigenous government that we're forced to conform to and adopt and go forward with is just not our way. I do want to do great things if federal recognition was in front of me, but I'm on that fence. I can see pros and cons of both. So yeah.
Yeah, besides missions, there were boarding schools?
I still need to learn more about that. There were boarding schools all over California, and my mother, my grandmother was put into an Indian boarding school because she was forced into a Catholic boarding school that my mother learned a lot of interesting habits that she pushed onto me. This placemat setting, and how you're interpreted by other people, and to ensure that you don't make, well, of course it's appropriate and modesty, which is good. Those are good things that you should present yourself as a good person and be interpreted as a good person. But she learned a lot of things from her mother that were just focal points that were just literally boarding school rules. And I'm just like, wow. And even in my own family. But my grandmother was a strong indigenous woman. She didn't speak a lot of English to the townsfolk. She used to walk into town with a gun on her shoulder and just have this like native swagger, like, you can't mess with me. And I'm like, yes! And my uncle tells me how she knew about a lot of the indigenous plants, and she even enjoyed, loquat leaf tea to help her with her diabetes. I'm like, I didn't know that. And I went and looked it up, and my uncle's like, you wouldn't question your grandma, would you? I'm like, no, I just want to see what other writing is on it. I'm not questioning that knowledge that's been passed from you and now to me. I'm just double checking reference material. And it's true. I'm like, she knew all of these amazing things that I'm barely picking up now. I guess I resemble her. I never got to meet my grandmother. An amazing woman, Elena Sayers. And of course, Sayers was adopted from her white husband. So, but we learned so much from our community. Teach so much, and yes, acknowledgement by the greater America would be beautiful, but we need to start in our communities, and then it grows broader to state and broader and broader. Like, I call it an upward-outward spiral. So with this Holocaust healing ceremony, it may start small. We had just 30 people in our first meeting. I hope to double that. In another month, we're going to have another meeting for the planning committee for the Holocaust healing ceremony. And by next year, I pray we might have maybe 100 organizers or just 100 visitors. And the next year, maybe double that. And an upward-outward spiral that maybe we may only facilitate a few hundred people, but when the next community takes it and organizes a Holocaust healing ceremony, a continuation, maybe in another state, maybe more north in California, more south, whoever wants to continue it. Truth in history, acknowledgement, and healing. Have it be a memorial, a mourning ceremony, and a healing ceremony to acknowledge all of those deaths, all of those past, all of those who are just not acknowledged. So that's my focal point. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.